Okay, first of all, it's our pleasure to meet each and every one of you here today, right? And thank you very much for joining our session in this evening. This session, we will discuss about leadership resilience in Asia. And I believe every one of you here interested to know how leaders in Asia navigated through challenges and uncertainty during the past several years. And what is the behaviors and characteristic of ASEAN leadership? What's the opportunity and the risk ahead of them in terms of the business in Asia? But first and foremost, let me say a big thank you to Facet 5 team for inviting us to be part of this event. And I would like to introduce myself and my buddy here. We both will facilitate this session together. My name is Anothai Wetthayakorn, and I'm the former Vice President of Dell Technologies, and I manage Asia Emerging Market for Dell, which span across 28 countries in Asia. I'm so honored to share my view and my experience to you today. Then I would like to have Kun Mantana to introduce herself. Please, Kun Mantana.
Okay, thank you ค่ะคุณนุ้ยอโนไทย Hi everyone, I'm Mantana Raksachad. I'm partner of Slingshot. Slingshot is a HR consulting firm in Thailand. We run the business almost 18 years, and we've been partnering with Facet 5, I think 12 years, and we've been working with I think more than top 100 CEO and more than 300 organizations in Thailand and in Asia. And today is our great time to share our experience, and thank you so much คุณอโนไทย one of our executive coach and the leadership team who join our leadership program. Okay, thank you everyone. ขอบคุณค่ะพี่นุ้ย
Thank you, Kun Mantana, for introduction. Right, so I trust that you are exciting, about the opportunity ahead of us, especially in this part of the world. And I would like to start by sharing with you a bigger pictures of what's going on in this region. This is a time for the business in Asia to reshape the uncertainty to the opportunities, complexity into clarity, problem into potential. The business need to rebuild the trust and create the value to deliver sustained outcome, right, in today's landscape. In the past 20 years, the business in Asia had to deal with many challenges, right, each coinciding and uniquely complex from major economic crisis. I think you remember back to 1997, right? Kun Mantana, is a Tom Yam Goong crisis, right? And then in the last couple of years, we faced COVID-19 and also the geopolitical tension. Then, we are now facing new challenges on the global economic recession. So we are all facing a lot of challenges and also the opportunity ahead of us as well. Leaders had to respond to them, one after another. Now, we face a new reality, and which is a very complicated road ahead with twists and turns that we underscore the need to come together. So business must transform to drive competitiveness and prosperity and lead Asia to a future as the world's most resilient and sustainable economic powerhouse. So for many years, Asia has benefited, right, from the strong set of the regional fundamental. It has shown great resilience, right, in the face of past challenges, and the economy has lifted fortune across the region. However, faced with threat and the growth and current stage of disequilibrium, it is now incumbent upon the business in Asia to be much more deliberated and proactive in decision making and more strategic, right, in the planning. So this is drive equitable growth and enhance the regional competitiveness and resilience. So firstly, let's look at the economic in Asia. So what I will do, Kun Mantana, I will share a little bit the background of the economy. Then I will hand over to you to talk about the what we found interesting
Yeah.
statistic
But
in
it's
the
but
fastest
it's
time.
it's really interesting to
Yeah,
hear your because you experience managing
yeah,
28 country around
right.
Asia gain a lot of in-depth. I would like to from the previous slide, right? What you see the most challenging if you ranking like top 1 2 for Asian leader, what would be the most challenging
I
that you
think
saw from the experience?
uncertainty, right? Uncertainty and the business environment that keep changing. When you look back, pre-pandemic, pandemic, and after the pandemic, and now we're heading to the global recession, and with lots of uncertainty from war, Ukraine, Russia, now Middle East, geopolitical, all is really, brought the uncertainty to the business here, and that's where leadership need to be very resilient, right? More agile, so they can adapt to the change that is keep changing nowadays.
Thank you very much. And คุณนุ้ย you also the one of our executive mentor that been using Facet 5 for your coaching and mentoring. I would love to
Yeah,
hear you sharing on
yeah,
this
yeah,
part.
sure. I will touch upon about that later on in terms of the leadership characteristic. What the leader here in Asia need to do, right, to make sure that themselves are able to adapt to the incoming change, which is inevitable. All right. Okay, but if you look at this chart, right, you will see that we are projected to grow about 4.8% this year, right, in Asia, and it is improving from last year, which is 4.2% growth. This is the data from the Asia Development Outlook. But if you exclude China, which is a big country, right? Developing ASEAN still expecting to grow about 4.6% this year, and may up to about 5.1% next year as well. So a huge potential ahead of us, right? Despite all challenge, that we mentioned, I think the foundation in Asia is very, very, a strong for a future growth. Yeah, you agree with that, Mantana?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
We
So
got the comment that
yeah,
we
please.
should put the transcription in English. We cannot, right?
I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah, so sorry. Claire,
So I may
okay.
let the Facet 5 team, right, if they can help on that. But yeah, thanks for the feedback. All right. So apart from the economic foundation, right, there must be something else which behind the growth potential for Asia. And it is all about leadership resiliency, right? The key topic that we will discuss today. Okay, so however, sir, if you look at the opportunity, there are also a risk factor that we are facing now. There are also the risks ahead of us, right? Protracted or escalated, conflict, right? Like Russian and Ukraine war, could stoke the renewed spike in the commodity price, and the global inflation, and also others monetary tightening, right? That every country now is very tight control. Even the upcoming, right, Israel and Hamas conflict could escalate it to a bigger war, which create the uncertainty ahead of us. This is what I just mentioned in the previous slide, right? Or economic headwind, right? That force everybody to have the tighter financial condition, combined with increase in debt over the past decade, and during the pandemic, right? So it's have elevated financial stability risk, to a lot of countries, not just in this region, but also US and Europe as well. So another factor which I think you can see across the region is the political stability, right? In Asia, it's always the big impact, right, to the business here. For example, China economic risks, right, will intensify next year because, as you may know, the EV demand is declining, or even the property market now is become bubble, right? So our local government debt is going on as well. So China's play a big role, right, in this region, in this economy. Okay, right? In summary, the common key risks for emerging Asia country are tightening financial conditions, right? I've been managing many countries in Asia. I know that in the past couple of years, doing the business in those countries is very, very difficult. You need to have the financial support to get it done, right? And also, now in China is impacting a big risk as well to this region. By the way, don't lose your hope, right? Tourism business is rebound now in Asia with a strong tourism performance and robust domestic demand. This is all boosting the Southeast Asia economy, like Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, right? With the sub-region projected to grow by 4.7% this year, and also projected about 5% in 2024. All right, so regional inflation is another one that we have to watch out. Is decelerating now, right? 4.2% this year, and maybe about 3.3% next year as well. Okay, supply chain pressure has been relieved, right? Because in the pandemic time, we all face the supply chain issue. Now it's kind of relieved, and the commodity price are expected to be better in Asia, right? As inflation is declining. Size and the bright future of especially in ASEAN country, right? They are the 5th largest economy. And also when you combine the GDP, right, and the population is like 650 million population here in this region. Last but not the least, right, the geopolitical wisdom, right, in ASEAN, if you look at how they manage the conflict, right, they position themselves not to be part of the problem, right? They keep the windows open and take advantages of the unexpected geopolitical opportunity. Right? Any comment or share from you, Kun Mantana, or the folk in the call here, if you want to know more about this part here, please.
And for the group, if you would like to share from other part of the world about this insight, you can put on the chat, I think, right?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So let me move on before we touch upon the fighting, right? About the ASEAN leadership. Look at the challenges and opportunity ahead of us. The business in Asia need to ensure they capitalize and overcome, right, both opportunity and challenges very, very carefully. Especially, right, when we talk about digital technologies and digital disruption, is continue to be happen here, in this region and across the world, and it's become the key drivers for every business leader, right? Then, the inflation and also the weaker economic prospect are creating the greater uncertainty, as I mentioned in the previous slide, and that reinforcing the inequality. So the fracture of global geopolitical backdrop, right, spilled over from war in Ukraine, Israel, and maybe heightened into the intra-regional geopolitical tension across Asia, have created the pervasive uncertainty and risk, right, while increasing the operational and compliances complexity for business. Next is the supply chain, right? So though I mentioned in the early slide that it seemed to be better, but because of the uncertainty, it may trigger the supply chain to be more tighter again in the next couple of years. And we have to make sure that the business in ASEAN capitalize that opportunity, and also brighten the natures of just-in-time sourcing network that can help that business moving forward.
Okay.
Workforce challenge.
Oh, sorry, Phi Nuy. We have the questions on the chat. Do the risk and opportunity apply to all Asian countries in the same way? are there any different by country? This is because this is the question from Luis Maron.
Thanks, Luis. I think the risk and opportunity I mentioned here is the big picture. You can apply all the country, but of course, right? Some country may be different than the others, but at least, right? So this is a same trend that happening here in both ASEAN, in South Asia sub-region, you know, also in part of China and the Pacific country as well. I think all ASEAN country, face the same challenge and opportunity. However, when you look at the opportunity, especially from the geopolitical tension, some country may get some certain benefit, like Vietnam, for example. And you may have heard that a lot of manufacturing is now reside in Vietnam. Because they can actually optimize and be a great backup plan if some other problem may happen in the future, right? So tourists is depend on the country, right? Some tourist country like Vietnam, Thailand, or even Indonesia is getting a lot of benefit, right, from this opportunity. Okay, I hope I answered the question. All right, so in summary, these are some of the key factors, right, that can vary the success or failure of the business in Asia, and it depends on the leadership to navigating through all of this. All right, so let me switch the gear a little bit, from the big pictures, opportunity, challenges, and risks that we are seeing in Asia. Now let's talk a little bit about the key topic here, the facet 5. I may want to have Kun Mantana to share a little bit overview. What's about the discussion that we are going to have here in the next couple of minutes.
Oh,
please.
พี่นุ้ย actually sorry I'm share with you the slide that I add something but I email to you I think this is the previous okay but
Sorry about that.
okay but never mind I will share after this Slingshot we've been working in the leadership development and executive coaching mentoring we use facet 5 mainly to help Thai leader to develop their leadership capability. Like Kun Nui, you also one of our participants to join our Leadership Act program, right? That we run for the executive and CEO level for the seven batch already. That CEO in Thailand, I think more than 200 people join this program. Then we do in terms of facet 5, we call teamscape. We run the big pictures. What is the work cycle for the CEO in Thailand? And I going to share this, but later because need the slide, right? And another thing, we use facet 5 to help us providing one-on-one executive mentoring and coaching that really impact our process because we have only short term in like let's say 6 months 8 months, right? One time per month to coach our client, and facet 5 give us the not just only the big pictures, the insight that can help us shorten the building rapport session because we understand each executive before we providing our service. This is the thing that and Kun Nui, you also use this one to coach, right? Currently you are executive coach and mentor, and use this also, right? Yeah. You can share your point.
Please, if you want to share your slide, I can stop sharing and you can take over. You want to do
It's
that?
okay. Okay, sure.
Okay, I stop sharing. Right? Why we waiting for Kun Mantana to project the slide, right? But I just want to share with you some of the key findings, right? From the facet 5, which we described to you in the other slide as well. We actually took this data from the facet 5 team that they compare the leadership characteristic, right, of ASEAN leaders to the Westerner, This is not mean, to compare, right? But to understand the difference, right, between, ASEAN leaders and the rest of the world. So every one of you who want to do the business here in Thailand or in the other country in Asia, you will understand, right? So the approach, which is a different, right? So if I can summarize, what I just mentioned, when we compare to the Western nation, right? Most ASEAN countries have the lower score on will and energy, and higher score on, emotionally. This would suggest that the ASEAN are less stubborn. They are very obedient, right? And assertive, right? And more reflective, and also private, private than Westerner, right? But are also less self-confident, right? And sure themselves, however, they tend to value we rather than me, right? ASEAN objective can be less clear, can be more complicated and ambiguity, right? So they are very good in working under ambiguity. So maybe Mantana, you can actually share your point of view as well.
Okay, thank you พี่นุ้ยค่ะ from our experience working with leading organization in Asia, mostly they based in Thailand. Let's say like Taiwan, they are the, I think they not just only been working in Thailand, they have the branches in like Vietnam, Indonesia. Mainly they own the hotels, and they are the manufacturing who I think the lots of like mainly on the food industry, right? Or even the banking like K-Bank or GC and PTT Group is one of our big company in Thailand. All of these, when we working with them, right? One thing that, when we look at the facet 5 as a country norm, right? Thailand, our country norm look like supporter. That means we are high affection, low will, right? Low energy and low control. And similar to like Japan. Japan, they are specialists, but the shape of their country norm is similar to Thai, like supporter, right? For China, Indonesia, and Malaysia, they are coach. It means that they high affections and high control, right? When I look at the data from the Facet 5 GPS, just only one country in Asia that high view dominantly. Can you guess which one? พี่นุ้ย
I guess Indonesia.
No, it's Singapore.
Singapore, okay.
Right. Singapore, they are their country norm similar to architect. So when we look at the big pictures of Asia, like as Phi Nui mentioned, mainly we high on affection and control.
Right.
Okay, and Phi Nui can share more after the and from our data that we working with Asian leader, right? On the left hand side, we map each point is represent one executive, right? From the left hand side, this is the global company, Asian global company, is Japanese company. This is the CEO, including one down, n-1, right? And 21 people. You can see that mainly people, they high on affection, control, and will, but not energy. And on the right hand side, when we look at the executive from the banking industry, this is in Thailand. Mainly, a lot of people have high affections, low energy, low will, low control, similar to supporter like our country norm. But during COVID, we are curious to know that what the direction change for the top executive. Then we select 20 organization to look at the pictures of the leader, that is it change from our country norm, even they are Asia and mostly they are Thai, right? You can look at the pictures on the middle, right? The shape quite outstanding that we are not high affection when look at just only CEO and top executive and this include พี่นุ้ยค่ะ we
myself.
bring the leader and early this year we have the session with 100 of the HR in Thailand. We ask them what is the direction from the CEO ask HR to focus this year. In the past พี่นุ้ย when we run the session with HR team, right, mainly people will the organization might focus on the people first, right? But this year totally different, you know, the direction they focus profit and people. It means that each organization need to move and change as quick as like คุณนุ้ย mentioned earlier that because the thing change very much, right? And the challenge come because executive would like to move very fast, right? But in terms of Asia, of our people, our strength is listening, right? Our strength is me, not me, right? We, right? We work together, empathy, listening, understanding, look at data before we move. Then how can executives learn to adjust themselves to bring organization for sustainability, right? When the organization would like to move very fast, but our team or our personality or our preference of work, we would like to understand before we acting. This is a thing that we saw from these pictures that I would like to share.
Yeah, so which means that if we just look at the view, right, comparing to the global mean, we are a little bit in the low side, correct?
Yeah, definitely. When we look at like Malaysia, every country, you know, our affection over view.
Yeah, so if we can interpret, right, it's meaning that, you know, we want, we seek for more clear instruction on what to do, right?
Right.
And we want to listen to the other ideas, you know, and with less argument, right? So everyone has to consensus before we actually move to do something, right? So consensus is very, very important, right, for the ASEAN in terms of the make decision and taking the action. All right.
Yeah.
Great. How about the on the control?
On the control, you know, other country like China, Malaysia, Indonesia, they are coach style. It means like they high control and high affection. But for Thai, we low control. Japanese low control.
Yeah, which is more, you know, can translate into more traditional, right? More structures and rule bound kind of thing,
right.
Okay.
And need time to see, would like to see information before making decision. And if something very like new happen, we don't jump for the action. We would like to evaluate.
Yeah.
And
I found. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I found also another interesting on the affection. I think you mentioned a lot about the affection, right? Some study they're showing that, you know, in ASEAN country there are some different. I mean, Asia, not just ASEAN, right? For example, people in Indonesia, Japan, and South Korea seem to be more tougher minded, right? More pragmatic. Comparing to Thai and Chinese people, it seem to be more focused on relationship and harmony. I think you just mentioned we versus the me, right? I think this is really standing out. Though in the big picture it looks the same, but there's some difference, right, between a culture because of the culture difference. Yeah.
And when I'm bring 100 of the CEO for the represent the picture on the middle, พี่นุ้ย when I'm gather more because these pictures just only 20 CEO, right? When I add the executive to 100, you know, the pictures are still this picture but add more people on the affection side, but still low control.
Okay, good. How about energy? I think we haven't touched
energy
much about energy.
higher than our country norm for the executive or leader at this moment. they would like to be more like learn new thing. They have high energy to meet with new people or to implement many projects at the same time.
All right.
Normally,
Good.
our country normally low energy, Thai people.
Okay. At this point, I'm not sure anyone in the floor you want to ask any further question. Please feel free to drop the note. Else we can move on. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Let's continue, Captain Mantana. Yeah.
พี่นุ้ยอันนี้ไปถึงไหนแล้วนะคะ this one
So
this one
yeah.
right okay and พี่นุ้
I
ย
think we already
you
done,
work
right?
right
We
and for
already
you
done
you
on the
would
facet
like
five.
to add anything you would like to add anything for the view.
So for the view, I think we mentioned a lot about, comparing to the global mean, right? ASEAN may show a little bit less dependence, initiative, right? And prefer to have clear instruction, as I mentioned, on what to do. They're willing to listen to others with less argument, right? They look for consensus to get decision and prefer to share responsibility within the team, even though, in the team, you already assign the role and responsibility, but they love to help each other to get the thing done, right? ASEAN are also more likely to accept and respect decisions made by more senior people. They actually follow the instruction from the boss, the senior people more strictly. Yeah, that is the view.
One thing that very interesting, you've been working with like Dell more than 28 country,
20
right?
years.
Yeah.
Right.
And for View, mostly when because Dell is global company, right? You work in a where you have a very high target and ambitious goal, right? And when you working with, let's say like Thai people, Thai team, I'm not sure how can Thai leader adjust to the very ambitious target. Anything that you learn from this?
They are adaptive, right? They are adaptable. So I think even though their view is low, but they actually pretty determined as well, and they can actually accept a tough target, not an issue, right? So yeah.
And another thing, because when we low view, our confrontation also low. It means that even when we are not agree, we don't want to face argument. We don't want to share our real issue in front, right? I'm not sure for the confrontations or very low confrontations at your point. And currently, and currently we talking about assertive, right? And we talking about giving constructive feedback that need because our preference or our facet five we low confront. Any suggestion on this point?
Yeah, I think, sir, generally, if you look at the ASEAN country, okay, comparing to people in like, South Asia, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, whatsoever. So people in Asia seem to be more, love consensus, right? They have less argument in the meeting room, but people in those areas is more determined, right? And they love to have the argument, right? In the meeting room to get the thing done. It's different approach. You can get the thing done, but in a different approach. That's where we need diversity, right? When you run the global organization, you need diversity, and more ideas, right, to keep things moving. Yeah.
Okay. Or even in Thailand, in organization in Thailand that you've been working, your team, even they low confrontation, but they learn to share their opinion even in the meeting, right?
Yeah, they can do that. Actually, it depends on the environment, right? So if the culture is encouraging people to speak up front, right? I think they love to do that, and they can do that very well. But some culture, you have to admit, right? In Asia, right? Some culture is very senior people dominant, right? And the younger position, they don't want to actually share much idea in the meeting room. I think that is something we need to fix. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay. All right.
Anything that you would like to add for energy?
I think energy is okay. I think we already touched about that. I don't have others comment on this, but if you
Okay,
or
no,
if you
thank
want
you.
to yeah, I mean, for ASEAN leadership, right, they maintain a strong relationship, as I mentioned.
Okay.
Relationship is the key. But which much smaller group, right? In the bigger group, they may keep quiet, right? But in the smaller group, they love to share. When you want to get some idea from people I mean, especially the leaders, put them into the smaller group, right? You will get a lot of idea coming out, right? But in bigger group, they may observe, right? That is something that we always see as the behavior.
I love this idea.
They're more comfortable working within the a specialized area with that skill, and they want their achievement to be recognized. I think that's about the energy part of it.
Thank you. We have the question from Robert. How much pressure is there on CEO now to tell a more compelling and new story for employee to remain and to perform without resorting on their positional power?
I think, sir, the pressure is very high, I would say, right? Especially when the business environment keeps changing and the business need to transform. I don't mean the digital transformation, but transform the business model, change the way they run business. I think the leaders having very high pressure to understand what's going on and to find the right solution. And then the most important, to cascading their strategies down to the smaller level and encouraging them to feedback, right? Because at the end of the day, to have the right execution, moving to the right direction, I think feedback is needed, and we have to drive the team to actually speak up, right, and share the idea, and we move as a team. Yeah.
Okay, and may I add on this, because we've been working, building and developing a lot of leader in Thailand, right? In the past, leader might rely a lot on the position power, but from our research recently, it showed that nowadays our employee listen, or we motivate we motivate them by our personal power. They trust skill and ability more than position power. And from our research, and we've been working with situational leadership center for creative leadership. If leader improve personal power, they can motivate and lead better, not just only rely on position power. Example for personal power, one thing is our expert. How can we show or do something that people will accept that you are high experience and skill, right? The second one, if you can't expert that area, then your employee, you need to improve your information. Actually, leader, we have information, but maybe we are too busy to use that information to convince or to motivate our team. Let's say, right, if we think that next year we need to change something, right? If we use only our position power, nowadays the new generation employee, they not just only trust our position, right? But if we can provide them the insight or the information from, even facet file or from our client, right? They will trust us more than our position power. Another thing we call personal power, we call the reference. I'm not sure how can I explain in English, but it mean พี่นุ้ยช่วยด้วย how คือการวางตัว how we behave,
Yeah.
We might think that we on the position leadership power, we not care how other will perceive us, but it's not right. We need to behave and show working with professional, something like that.
Yeah, I think, sir, in terms of the control, I think you can move to the next slide, right? In terms
Right.
of control, as I mentioned earlier, tentatively, I mean, people in Asia, they are more hierarchical approach. They look up as the senior leaders, the boss as the, like a parental, right, in the family. So they want to actually follow. But by the way, as Kun Mantana just mentioned, the leader has to be a role model, a great role model. If the leaders work hard, I mean, the team will follow. If the work is too complacent, the team may be also very complacent, right? So it really depends on the leader to behave well, to be the right role model in order to lead the team to the success and drive to all the change that needed. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think last but not the least on the affection, right? So when it comes to the affection, it seems to be a greater spread across the 8 ASEAN country. Like I mentioned earlier, people in Indonesia, Japan, or even South Korea approach are being more tough-minded, right, and pragmatic. Why the country like Thai or Chinese people seem to be more focused, right, on relationship and harmony. I will touch upon a little bit on Thai and Chinese, right? They are almost very similar in terms. They're more comfortable with uncertainty, right? You give them a job, you just tell them what to do, right? Even a lot of unclear things, they actually will go and done and drive through it. They don't expect the world to be complex, to be perfect, right? They expect the complexity, right? In contrast, people in Japan or South Korea and Indonesia, they may have more focus of interest. They have to tell them exactly. So I think this is something different between a country, even though the overall score is show similarity, but they are somewhat different. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yep. That's
Yep.
all about the facet. Right. You want to move on to the next, right? I think this is interesting. We also finding a key characteristic of the ASEAN leader. If you look at the photo here, right, it's about strawberry. Strawberry, they can appear in different kind of shape. Some shape is very beautiful, heart shape, right? Some is just not look like a strawberry, but it tastes the same. It's good. It is imperfection, right? So the norm for most of the ASEAN people, perfection is the enemy of the good. you know uh, that that is showing very well in the previous one when we talk about the affection, right? So sometimes they work very well under ambiguity, under uncertainty, under limited resources, I would say. Okay, so I think most of a key contribute of the ASEAN leaders is working under ambiguity. They are more comfortable with uncertainty and expect that the world, will be complex and ambiguous, right? So ASEAN always believe, as I mentioned, perfect is the enemy of the good. So there were lots of challenges and uncertainty in ASEAN country many years back to the history. You can look at from the colonial era to the World War, regional war, political unrest, internal conflict, poverty, financial uncertainty, so on and so forth. But they actually can get out of that very quickly, and recovers the situation very fast. This is something that show that they can work very well under the imperfect condition. All right. So next, please, Mantana.
Yeah.
Another key leadership style, which we mentioned a lot during the Facet 5 discussion, is the harmony, right? ASEAN leader style typically hinge on the core culture's value prevalent in the region, right? So this style often involved in hierarchical structure, right? Like I mentioned, they look up to the leaders, differences to the authority, right? And a strong focus on the harmony and cooperation within the group. Decision often made, in a collective manner, taking into the account the group best interest, right? The group, right? Not individual. So the leaders is viewed as, paternal figures, the family approach, embodying wisdom and authority, right? And that's where, leadership has to show they are the good role model. So that decision will be respected and followed without much, opposition. So following the leaders, just do it, and we versus me, right? Kind of approach.
Yeah.
Any comment from you, Kun Mantana? You agree with this? I think this
Yeah,
is very
totally agree.
yeah.
And we move to the next. And we have another 10 minutes.
Yeah. I don't want to just go into the detail of this, but to leave with you that if we can summarize based on the facet 5 and some unique characteristic of ASEAN leader, you can see that they are paternalistic kind of leadership, right? They are collective leadership, right? They love harmony, right? Hierarchical oriented leadership, face-saving leadership. Sometimes, they don't want to be criticized publicly, right? Moral leadership, right? Leaders emphasize personality, personal integrity, and rightness, right? They have to be viewed as high ethical kind of people. They want to be loved, right? They are very strategic. Sometimes they keep quiet, but they're thinker. They know what to do, right? And strategize very well. Their risk-averse leadership, right? Tend to be very cautious, and a little bit conservative sometimes, avoiding unnecessary risks, and then guiding leadership, right? Leaders take into, sometimes a teaching role, nurturing their subordinate, right? And guiding them through that development. I think this is something that is a key attribute, right, of the ASEAN leadership.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I think the time is very limited now, but I think this is a very big one, right? In order for ASEAN leaders to be able to, survive and be more resilient, right? In the next 5 to 10 years, where the business keeps changing, they have to accept the adaptive leadership kind of approach, which require them to be more agility, more flexible, right? This is the key when they lead through the change and uncertainty. And leader must be able to adapt quickly to the changing circumstance and adjust their plan as needed, right? Leaders need to inspire and lead the team through the change, right? Which is require a willingness to take calculated risks. Remember we talked about they are risk averse, but now they have to actually take more risks, make decisions quickly, and be open to the new ideas, receiving the feedback from the team. So the key word is here is they have to be adaptive leadership. They need to work as a team. They have to inspire the team, right? And drive the change to be more survival and sustainable growth in the future. Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting because today we with a leader around the world, right? We would like to hear, if it's possible to each of you to put in the comment from your point of view, leadership for this era, what would be the top competency? This is Kun Anothai mentioned for ASEAN leader, right? But for you, in your opinion, it would be interesting, right? Is it possible if you can share your idea on the chat?
Are you see the same thing or are you see differently? I know this is
from your region, right? Yeah.
Not applied to everyone, right? It's a big picture view, right? How they are similar in common, but they may vary people by people, right? Leaders by leaders. Okay. However, so if you move to next slide, Kun Mantana, right? This is interesting. There are some common traps, right, that block the leaders to become the adaptive leadership, right? In order to overcome that, they need to be mindful, on these few key things, right? First, they have to make themselves aware of what's going on in the industry, right? Require them to understand the business environment, the risk and the opportunity, as we mentioned earlier, and they have to admit the fact that they may not know what they don't know, right? And, seek for help, getting more feedback from the team, spend all the effort to understand what's going on, what is the situation, and preparing themselves, right? And inspiring the team to embrace the change, right? So next is, they have to leave the ego at door, right? Sometimes the leaders, especially in Asia, because they have been looked up, right, all the time, right? They have to leave their ego at door and listen to the feedback, and most of the time they use experience to resolve the thing, right? But in this keep changing environment, they cannot just use their muscle memory, right? They have to learn, relearn, and unlearn, right? And last but not least, make decisions fast, and also use data and tool to help them make decision. And most important, right? So they have to be able to adjust, right, and more agile during this issue. Okay, all right.
Right, and we have Francisco, right, sharing empathy. Agree, right? Kun Nuy?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely
Absolutely.
agree.
And
Yes.
Ellen, top competency, the leader is able to create the culture where challenge is value. They challenge other ideas and also encourage other to challenge the leader view. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, especially in the younger generation, they kind of change. I know in this report, we actually survey top leaders whereby they are Gen X, right? Most of them is Gen X. They may different or having different perspective when comparing to Gen Y or the later generation. So I think the younger generation, they adopt the modern approach, and they want to speak out. They want the leader to listen to them, right? So I think empathetic leadership is required. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, and they have some question. One moment, because uh, does the consensus type approach also continue to the new generation, millennials, Gen Z? Kun Louis Myron.
You want to answer that, Mantana?
Kun Nui, could you please help?
Yeah, if as I mentioned, I think this apply to this question as well, right? The older generation like Gen X or even Gen Y, they seem to be more consensus, right? When they do things, but the younger generation, they believe the new idea, right? They are more innovative. They are more, having the breakthrough idea. The problem, right? So in most of the organization culture is hasn't allowed them much to speak out. That's where a lot of business in Asia, they are unable to survive. you know the younger generation, to answer this question, they are less consensus, right? They want to make sure that their ideas being accepted, even they are very young or junior in the organization, and they they can actually decide to leave organization anytime if they see that they no one see their value actually.
Okay, and this is from your experience working with Gen Z, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
for me, because like Slingshot, it is our first time that for the past 2 years, it is our first time to start management training. So we hire the group of the people, and interesting, more than 1,000 of application apply for this position. Every month we interview more than 30 Gen Z, right? And we hiring about 5 to 10 management trainee. And one thing that really help us understand this by we using Facet 5 with them. We think that it will different from other generation, right? But from our experience working with them, even they are very young, but upon their personality profile, let's say that one of our management trainee, I'm not sure she with me today or not, she is the promoter, very high view, and her score is 10. All factors: determination, confrontation, and independent. 10 of for view, right? She is the one that lead and motivate herself, and she not waiting for any consensus, right? But another guy, when he is the controller, low view but high control, this guy, when he working, he try to gather information from our people or department, right, before making decision. Then not just only understanding generation, I feel that facet 5 help us understand our new generation and new members before working with them, and help us motivate and working with them more easy than in the past. This is I would love to share.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Great.
another thing, another question. I'm not sure I'm answer all the question that put on the message.
So while you check through
Ellen,
that, I can
yeah.
Go ahead.
Ellen asked, may I ask, are these leadership style number according to their predominance? What does it mean?
Yeah, that's what I say earlier, right? So
Right.
these data is like a bigger picture, and you cannot apply all for everyone. It's very people by people. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you ask, if you close your eye and think about what is the characteristic of the ASEAN leadership style, these are the key attributes, I would say, right? But I will tell you the story. Can you move to the next two slides, Kun Mantana?
Sure.
Yeah,
Is it
next
the
two
one?
slides. No, another one.
Okay.
Yeah, another one, please. Yeah, because we run out of time, I won't go through everything. Yeah,
Okay.
This is the one. When we talk about the leadership characteristic, right, or leadership competency, the facet 5 data we mentioned, it is the bottom of the iceberg, right? Iceberg. Right. There are competency and skill that require them to actually develop, right, which will be on top of the iceberg. And these are the leadership competency required in the new world contract, that they have to be more envisioned, they have to be embrace change, empower, right? So not actually one man show, equality, empathetic leadership, and so on and so forth. I think this is something that Slingshot is actually working, right, to develop the leadership here in this country and the region. Yeah, and that should be the key change. All right. So I won't go through it, but to leave with you, if you look at opportunity in Asia is huge, right? And there's a lot of good leaders here in this region, in this country, right? So I think we have to just understand the leadership style and help them actually, and actually work with them, and be more empathetic, by the way, Yep. So any comment else from you, Kun Mantana?
And I hope this information will help, or if you would like to ask more questions and discuss further, you might send the email to both of us, right? And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Thumbs up. Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye. Thank you very much, everyone.